Lovely day we are having, no?
Yes, what a nice day. Hope nothing bad happens.
Welcome to my unboxing and review of the Super7 Ultimates SpaceGodzilla Super Godzilla Color Edition. I got this bad boy as a Christmas gift, and I wanted to show him off in this video. It's a pretty nice figure, and I'm not gonna lie, the box itself is also quite nice. The Super7 Ultimates figures tend to have really nice boxes, and it's kind of a shame because I wish I had more room to keep them in their box. The boxes are really nice, they're just really big. So I wanted to throw in some nice lighting to really show off the cool colors. But I really like the box design. I think it's like they took the Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla poster and really highlighted the green and purple, or like really distorted them. It looks really, really cool. I love the kind of retro look of it. In general, this whole line has really nice boxes, but I really want to show off the boxes. And it's kind of like a pity. If I had more room, I would keep the boxes, honestly. Then the unboxing, I kind of did a time lapse because I didn't want to bore you guys with it. It took a little bit of time to get everything out. I think mainly the tail was the one that took the longest because it wasn't just like wrapped up. I had to like actually get some pliers to cut the wires to get the tail out. There's just a lot of pieces to get out, so it took me a little bit of time to get the tail out. So here you have the actual figure. So he comes with 2 hands already, and then he's got 2 other pairs of hands that you can switch out, and an open mouth, a head, and then of course the tail itself. And of course the tail took a bit of work to attach. I had to use like warm water on the tail and then the end of his body. So I will highly suggest you use warm water or something. Probably warm water or boiling water would be the best way to do it, to attach the tail, because the tail is quite difficult to attach. But I think all the Super7 Ultimates figures tend to be like this. But here we get a nice shot of the tail itself, and you can really see the detail of this figure. This is my only Super7 Ultimate SpaceGodzilla, so I assume the rest are the exact same sculpt, just different colors. And I would say the sculpt of this is really nice. Here you get some details on the hands. You got the closed fist, the kind of open fist, and then the open mouth. And then here you can see the quality of the head sculpt. Really, really, really nice. The paint job. Again, here you can see the sculpt on the front part of the body and the chest, and you can really see that purple and green paint job. Here you can see on the back, you can see the back dorsal plates that also look really nice. The sculpt of the plates, but also the green paint job. I think they did a really nice job. I wanted to flag here that actually the little crest on his head on the closed mouth is kind of pushed down compared to the open mouth. I'm not sure if that was because of the box or they did that on purpose, but that's just something I wanted to show. And then here we look at the articulation. So he's got a good amount of like arm articulation. The wrists can, be articulated. I think at the elbow it was a bit stiff, but the arm from the shoulder joint moves a lot. Also, because he's got like his space crystal shoulders, that's like a flap. And then at the waist, you can twist him, but it's kind of stiff. It was a bit hard for me to turn him at the waist. And then his head has quite a bit of movement, actually. I was quite surprised. But the lower neck is quite stiff. You'll see that I kind of struggled a little bit there. And then also where he surprisingly has a lot of articulation is the leg. His legs at like the hip joint can move quite a bit. The rest of the legs are quite stiff, but at the hip he can move quite a bit. So he can do these kind of funny movements and things like that. But there's quite a lot of movement there. I didn't expect that. And I was trying here to move the rest of his leg, especially his feet, quite stiff. But look, you can put him in like a kind of karate roundhouse kick looking stance. And then I think in the next clip, I was trying to move the legs a bit more to show you guys. Like, you can move the feet, but it's not like a 360 thing. It's more like they move kind of from side. Then showing off a little bit more of the articulation in the wrists. And then here more of like the leg articulation. Like, you can kind of move at the knee a little bit, but it's quite stiff. Really, most of the movement you get is at the hip joint, because that one can move surprisingly a lot. Like, you can see how much I can move the leg forward. But the knees themselves are quite stiff. It's quite interesting. And then we're looking at the tail articulation. As you can see, there's a lot of pieces to the tail, so you'd figure there's a lot of articulation. But I will say it's also quite a bit stiff, especially the tail part that's attached to his body. That part is quite stiff. But you do get a bit of articulation towards the end of the tail. And you can move it, up and down and left to right. And then also here I wanted to put him next to my Super7 -1 figure to show you kind of how he scales compared to the other Ultimates figure. So he scales very well with this figure. Also just giving you an idea of how they look next to each other. I have to admit, the Super7 Ultimates figures have really nice sculpts. I mean, I know they're pricey, but the sculpts are really nice on these figures. My biggest gripe with these guys is that you don't get jaw articulation. You have to switch out the head if you want them to be roaring or you want them to have a mouth closed. Kind of find that a little bit annoying. I wish they already have articulation in the body. Why can't they put articulation in the mouth? And then just having these two next to each other is a lot of fun. Maybe one day these two will be in a video fighting each other. Only time will tell. As I give my final thoughts. This is a really nice figure. To be fair, if you already have the Super7 Ultimate SpaceGodzilla, I would say this is not a necessary addition to your collection, but it is really nice as a figure. The sculpt is really nice. I really like this paint job. I think it's quite unique. Again, it is true that it is just a repaint of the previous ones, but I do think it's still a really nice figure. And if you don't have a SpaceGodzilla in your collection and you're looking to pick one up and you can afford it, I think this is one I would recommend. It's really nice. And it's bigger and kind of bulkier than the smaller SH Monster Arts, which, to be fair, it's not like the SH Monster Arts SpaceGodzilla is that cheap. Actually, they're quite hard to find and they're not that cheap, and they're like half the size of this guy. So and if you want like an actual Super Godzilla figure, not just like a SpaceGodzilla repaint, but an actual Super Godzilla based off the game, Movie Monsters did make a figure some time ago. I don't know if it's still on sale, but in general, I really like this figure. I'm really happy to have it in my collection. So this is the only one in my collection now, and I'm very excited to have it. I'm happy. But what did you all think of this figure? Did you like it? Do you think it's worth it? Or does it just seem like another repaint variant of SpaceGodzilla? But let me know in the comments below. Have you bought this figure, or have you seen other people who have gotten this figure? Are you interested in getting this figure? I'd love to hear your comments, and I'll be definitely reading them. That's it for this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!